This live episode of FRC Round Up is supported by viewer donations and subscriptions, as we will not be presenting any sponsors due to the nature of the content. So lots to talk about as we go ahead. So this is going to be more of a general statement that we want to make about things in regards to YPP. If you saw our posts ahead of time, we did mention that we don't intend or plan on showing any specific stories of what we're going to be discussing for things. We're really going to try to keep in general names of people who have been posting out of this live show. However, the resources are there for you to go see it, to go on Chief Delphi and see many of these posts and stories for things. And we'll talk about that a little bit. So I apologize because I'm going to read off a little bit of a scripted part on this as well as we go through. So first off, this last week has been amazingly eye-opening, and something that from somebody who's been in FIRST, for me, this is going on 22 years now. It's heavy. And the one thing when we think about this is that it's even heavier on the people who had to deal with these experiences, who had to go through these things, who are continually going through these things as well. I mean, there have been some harrowing and daunting experiences mentioned about, individuals, previous employers that people have been previously affiliated with. And some of these stories have been anonymous. Some of these stories have been people who have put their name and face behind things. And either way, people coming out to tell their story for things is something that to take this long to have this come out is like, I'm happy to see that they're coming out now. But it means that we have so far to go in this program. This FIRST is an incredible program for things. And when we have 600,000 people involved in it, it is truly unfortunate that we have some of the really bad actors. It's disappointing and disturbing that many have not felt safe or felt in fear of retribution or suffered trauma based on experiences. And the stories that I've read, and I know all of us have read throughout this the last just few days, even today, for things as well too, has just truly been eye-opening for these. So like I mentioned, we're not going to bring up these stories on screen here, but you can go on the chiefdelphi.com. We encourage you to do that, to read these. Obviously, most of these have trigger warnings for things, so please keep that in mind for your own mental health and that as well too. But and also the VEX forums, there are some stories on there that many have experienced as well. So one of the things for me is, I don't know about the two of you as well too, or everybody else on there, I have just felt myself just staring at the screen for an extended period of time when I read something and just letting myself process what has been going on recently. It's been something that I can't imagine what many of these people have gone through, and many others who we haven't heard their stories of what they've been going through for things. And we're going to be talking about, there's been a lot of personal things that are the more YPP. Of course, we're going to be talking about IFI and VEX as well too. And this is I'm relating all this together for this, and we'll break this down a little bit as well too. But something I do want to say to those who have posted, your posts and your stories do help. They help the community better understand what's going on. They help create demand and change, and they help others who have suffered. So thank you to those who have posted for that as well. To the community, for those listening here, for those who may be listening for things, please keep supporting individuals to speak out if they're ready, and to help provide a positive and comforting environment for all those who are in need. We have a fantastic community, and there's so much more we can do, though, to get the. I mean, we've come a ways, but obviously there's so much more we need to do for us as well. We need to know how to spot bad behavior and bad actors and what leads up to it, and to also make sure we're providing a space and creating that space and culture that isn't conducive to many of the things that we've read and heard. One of the things I want to address as well too is that what we're talking about, this isn't cancel culture. These are people who have done things that we are talking about, and we need to get out there more. This isn't somebody being canceled. This is somebody who has done something that is very serious and many times criminal that need to get out there, that we're talking about as well too. We need to recognize and make changes based on this. I also do encourage the community who's watching this as well too to take more moments to stop and think and listen a bit more as well too. We have fantastic social platforms out there as a community, regardless of who it's through, where it's on, or anything like that. But many are quick to type on the keyboard. Many are quick to take the time not to think about what you're typing, or sometimes even comprehend what the other person's saying first as well too. We live in a society where information comes at an instant, but the internet is forever for things. So please keep that in mind as well. Something as well too is that you might not even potentially realize that, and these are things I've had to deal with myself, is that take a moment to step back and take that mental break if you need it. A lot of this stuff is very heavy. A lot of this stuff is very taxing as well too. Take that moment for that mental break. So before you react, let's focus on how we can help make our culture better in this program. All of us can improve, and all of us can take steps in doing so. I do want to share some information from FIRST that FIRST has provided us as well too, and we'll try to get those links in chat as well. But here's some information from FIRST. FIRST highly recommends that all mentors and moderators of social forums watch the YPP training videos that FIRST has created. They also recommend assets from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children as a great resource. If you'd like to contact somebody at FIRST directly, anyone in FIRST, both minors and adults, may contact Youth Protection directly by phone or email. The online reporting portal is helpful, but not required to be used. Youth Protection understands that some individuals do not feel comfortable sharing information in an email or web portal. You can reach out directly to Lee Doucette. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Her direct line is 603-206-2050. That is a number you can call. You can also email ldoucette@firstinspires.org. FIRST would also like to reference their blog post that they created yesterday, which will be Monday, reminding teams and volunteers of the guidance and resources FIRST has to keep our youth participants safe, including how anyone in the community can report a concern. FIRST said that they will continue to highlight these tools so that more participants are aware of them in the future. So as a community, it's easy to say, let's come together. Let's actually act on it. And thank you to those who are typing in chat for that as well, too. I didn't have those links handy, so I apologize. But let's continue to work together. Let's continue to speak when we feel comfortable in doing so. And let's just be better. This has been so eye-opening to me. And like I said, in my 22 years, it's crazy that it's not crazy all this happening. It's disappointing. It's disgusting that all this is happening and coming to light for things as well. And that's what I have to say.
Yeah, thanks for that, Tyler. I appreciate that. Connor, anything to add on the YPP topic?
One of the things that I take pride on, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, Discord mod. I take pride in making sure that the First Updates Now Discord is a safe space for everyone to be able to participate in freely, to be able to express themselves in the way that they see fit, as you know, as we're all GP. I invite you, if this is your first time here, please join our Discord, hang out with us, socialize with us. It's a great place to escape. If this is something, if YPP situations that you're being affected by, this is a great place to be able to come in to escape. And if you need someone to talk to, there are a lot of us here that are more than happy to talk to you, mine included. If you feel comfortable at least coming to reach out to me, my DMs are open, whether if it's Chief Delphi, Discord, or any other social media platform. You're more than welcome to talk to me about whatever you need to talk about. That's all I got.
Okay. Thanks, Connor. Tyler, anything to add finally before we go and jump into the final topic?
No, let's jump in and talk about what's been going on with IFI and VEXpro and a lot around that.
Yeah, so as Tyler said, final topic of the night, and probably one of the hotter things currently in our first community. Important to preface here that it's a continually developing story. As just a couple hours ago, there was a statement released by the Innovation First Chief Delphi account. But ultimately, we're going to break down on what has been going on, that we know to the best of our ability, into three main parts. So the first one's really going to be focused on the IFI quality control issues, and then moving into IFI culture and the IFI response that we had just gotten hours before the show. So I'll go ahead and throw it to Connor to discuss the IFI QC issues.
So over the course of the last almost 3 years, there have been numerous threads created on Chief Delphi regarding the quality control, or QC, on VEX products, specifically the Falcon 500. There's a short timeline about these QC issues. And I just lost my place here. My apologies.
No worries. This went through something pretty heavy, man. So take your time.
Yeah. So the first thread, at least to our knowledge, that popped up was started back in February 11th, 2020, regarding the first report of shaft screws loosening. So missing Loctite on Falcon 500, whether if that's for shafts, for any other kind of bolts holding the component together. A lot of missing Loctite, shaft laser weld fails. There's even been some other stuff of non-concentric shafts, so like hex shaft not being to spec, or a missing bearing in a Falcon 500, or magnets loosening inside the motor, or solder balls too short on the motor cap so that your motor doesn't work correctly, or even the 2x1 box extrusion that has been sold, and where the hole increments is normally 1 inch, some people have seen it in 3/4 of an inch. That's a lot to go wrong, even though that we've just talked about maybe like between 2 and 4 products. Most of those come out from one product, the Falcon 500. That's a lot. And the fact that it has been almost 3 years since the first thing, there has been no permanent fix to the Falcon 500. Whether if those fixes are in the next batch that VEXpro will be releasing, I don't know. We'll find out for those who do continue to use the Falcon 500 product for the 2023 season. I would love to know if you guys continue to have these issues. Please voice them in Chief Delphi or any place that you feel comfortable talking about. I personally am not a Falcon 500 user. Myself and my team 166, we have been using Rev, the Neo and the Neo 550 products ever since the 2019 season. While there are some technical specs that are different, the motor might not be as powerful and the encoder isn't as good. This is why I changed my CD heading to LAFs and Neos away from my standard stuff. Like when I get my Neo and it comes from Rev and I take it out of the box, it works right out of the box. I don't have to worry about Loctite on the missing Loctite on threads. I don't have to worry about like certain QC issues so that my motor doesn't work and then I have to go buy a new one or get like a remedy. Oh yeah, that was also another thing. I forget exactly which QC issue it was. VEX's response was to buy a replacement kit so that they can fix their Falcons. In my opinion, I think that should be a free of charge. Hey, we'll swap out your Falcon 500 for a non-faulty Falcon 500, or even if it is even if it is just the repair kit, not having to pay for that additional fee plus probably shipping. That kind of sucks because like you've already paid for like $180 motor. That's very expensive, and especially to FRC teams. Like not a lot of teams like have a lot of like big funding. Some teams get by year to year. Some teams even wonder if they're going to be able to pay their registration fee in time. And the fact that this is still an ongoing thing absolutely freaking mind boggles me. Now, I don't plan on buying a Falcon 500 with the QC issues, and with everything else going on right now, I don't plan on buying one anymore. But like, dude, this has to get fixed. There's so much stuff going wrong with this. I've never been so vocal about one thing before. And like, for those who have watched the show before, I have tried to keep my mouth shut on threads on Chief Delphi so I can save my opinions for the show, for the better of the content that you guys get to watch us make. I cannot continue to be silent on this one, so I have to start saying stuff about this publicly. Like, this is just not okay. Anyone else got anything to add? I'm done.
I don't have anything directly to add to the QC conversation. I know you hit a couple things, and from that end, and I'll just leave it at that.
How long does this post go for of all these issues? Holy crap!
I have to, and I know we said not names, but I mean it's right there on for the post of the thread. I have to give Justin Trevay the credit for this response, for making this timeline. Seriously, like that, to bring everything right there all into one thread for everyone's viewing pleasure. It's just eye-opening.
Yeah, and we said no. We're talking about no names for some of the others, so I think this is totally appropriate for something like that. So shout out to Justin for worries, man. So shout out to Justin for that as well too. Next topic, obviously, we're going to be getting into is a few different things. It's interesting just to see the responses that they had to this, and then you combine that with everything else we're going to be talking about on here. I wonder on this, if this was the only thing that had come to light were some of these QC issues, where we'd see the community at right now, with everything else, coming into fruition for things as well too. I think it obviously makes sense where we're seeing a lot of it go. I'm curious to see if this would have been something where maybe VEXpro got another chance at things or something like that. I don't think that's the case anymore.
They look at how many threads have been created. They've had that many chances at minimum.
Yeah. All right. So next up, by the way, speaking about, as we're going to go into more in regards to IFI as well too, Nick, there's been a lot of teams that have renounced IFI for it, including many of the Team IFI teams.
Yeah, that's correct. So I believe, what the teams that were part of Team IFI, there was 9 total. And I believe the only 2 left are 3310 and 148.
And that's as of this recording, by the way, you should preface.
Correct. Yep. As of this recording on November 15th at 9:13 p.m. Eastern. But, it's a big statement that, Team IFI is recognizing, these FRC teams are recognizing the issues that have been now released by the, that's been shown through Chief Delphi on various issues with VEX. And I think it's important that, to preface that the highest team, I guess, that is being, representing Team IFI, that have actually, over the past couple of days, have actually, posted that they're going to be severing ties and being no longer a member of Team IFI. So I do want to give a shout out to Citrus Circuits and Mike Corsetto for being the first team that kind of jumped up and said, we're not going to put up with this. And, but, ultimately it doesn't matter who's, first to the party or who's last. It's important that, these teams that have stepped up have said that, they're no longer going to be putting up with this. And, one thing that I do want to hit on too as well, that Jim Zondag had posted today regarding 33's response and saying, that he hopes that, in the future months and, future years that VEX is able to recognize these issues and hopefully remedy them, because there are people at VEX and IFI that are good people and do great things for the community. And it's not fair to those people that are working at VEXpro currently that are dealing with these things that are, handed down from upper management or bosses or whoever it may be. So I thought that was really important for Jim to put that out there, and was a big show that, we're recognizing what's wrong, but, we hope that in the coming years that IFI is able to remedy this, and those relationships are being able to be remedied from that point.
We've also seen many other teams that are not Team IFI commit to phasing out VEX. I'll give a shout out to Justin Montois, who is a fun host of the FRC Top 25 show and drive coach of the 3015 Ranger Robotics, for kicking off that thread as well. And we're starting to see more and more teams that are stating on here that they are looking at phasing out the VEX ecosystem within their teams as well. One of the things I'll mention as well too, you don't necessarily have to publicly post that your team is phasing out VEX or IFI if you so choose. Keep that in mind. That's your team's personal thing to choose that if they want to post or not to post. We also recognize that there are many teams who have purchased IFI parts or VEXpro parts in the past. By the way, just as a clarification, VEXpro is considered a subsidiary of IFI. So if we do mention these, they do interchange a bit on this. And so one thing I want to ask you guys on there, I know there's been a couple of threads we've seen on this, is that many teams are probably going to continue using VEXpro parts, or even potentially purchasing VEXpro parts in the future as well. How do you address, or what is your general thoughts in regards to that?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take this right away. Frankly, I'm going to be on the stance of don't judge a book by its cover. I know that sounds super cliche, but ultimately you have no idea what that team's going through. And even Connor stated earlier, there are teams that are still struggling to pay registration. I mean, it's no secret that the program that we are in is very expensive. And, like most FRC teams are stocking up products, they could have tens of, thousands of dollars of merchandise of VEXpro products, or anybody of that sort that they're going to want to exhaust and not just, throw out. And I think, there's no reason to be judging teams that are using, VEXpro products from here on out, just for the sheer fact of you don't know their situation. That's my big take here is, just giving teams the benefit of the doubt and not judging them on that point from that sense.
Yeah, and to add on to that, like there's been a thread about like, would you put teams that use VEX parts on a do not pick list?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I think that's absolutely absurd to go on to that. And my team that I've been on ever since I joined First, I mean, we were a low income, low resource team way back then. We have changed that culture on our team, and we've really started to hit the ground running and to be a little bit more financially well off than other teams in our area. But a lot of that came out of cost. We have the ability to be able to phase out any of our VEX products that we still use. Like I know, for example, we do plan on switching over to the Max Planetary system at Rev. We were going to do
great
that
product, by the way.
Yeah,
Max Planetary is awesome. Small
yeah, like we were going to go over to that regardless, but this definitely kind of accelerates the way that we're going to approach things. I will say though, for those teams that are going to be phasing out VEX products, or even if they're just going cold turkey this year, I don't think I really saw this in any of the 3,000 threads made in the last 48 hours. If you do start phasing out your VEXpro products, I wouldn't necessarily throw them away. Maybe go around to the teams in your area that are of those underprivileged teams. I don't want to necessarily say underprivileged teams, but see if
low resource
if
teams,
you have anything that you can give to other teams that is still by means like good for competition. See if you just donate it to them, or even if you have to pay, like charge them like a small fee for it, at least keep that stuff within the ecosystem so that teams aren't getting screwed over, not only by all like the, I wanted to say QC, but it's not QC. Yeah. Really all supply issues. That's the word that I'm looking for. Yeah. That'll really go a long way, and you'll make your community a better place by doing that.
That's a great point, Connor. I haven't thought about that before for teams to look at doing that. Also, I mentioned we wouldn't read too much of a chat, but also Justin in chat saying, or use them for potential prototypes as well, or second robots or a demonstration robot or something like that too. So yeah, definitely.
So like what my team has done in prior years with the battery that you get in the kit of parts, that's not typically the battery that we like to use. So we end up giving it to a team in our area every year, and then we go out and buy our own batteries. So that saves someone $50 right there.
Before we get into the next couple parts, I was going to wait on this, but this seems as an appropriate segue as well too. Is that on fun, we do have a statement in regards to IFI as well too, and I do also want to state that we did reach out to IFI and their media contact for comments on many of this, which they did not respond back to our comments, at least in time for things, and we did actually receive back some comments from First that will read as well in a little bit as well too, but I do want to address here at Fun as well too. So so a couple things at this time. I'm just going to read this off verbatim, so bear with me. Due to the concerns raised about business and leadership practices, we don't believe that promoting VEXpro and IFI products is beneficial or appropriate to our audience or the First community. And effective immediately, VEX would be halting any giveaways from the supplier. So we offer our giveaways up. We offer all suppliers to provide that. We will not be promoting VEXpro giveaways on our streams, at least probably for a long time, I'm guessing. We might be burning a bridge there, but we don't feel that it is an appropriate thing for that. In addition to that, every year Fun does a lot with the Robot in 3 Days team. If you don't know about the one we're doing this year, it's going to be awesome. However, after speaking with the leadership team of the Robot in 3 Days team that Fun will be creating content for, which is one of our largest content pieces of the year, usually many tens of thousands of viewers, hundreds of thousands of views. That team is committed to not requesting or promoting VEXpro IFI parts on the robot that is being created. However, in full transparency, it is possible due to the nature of parts availability or having some parts already, you might see some of those parts on that robot, but we are not requesting any parts to be promoted by VEXpro at all for the 2023 season.
Yeah, Tyler, just wanted to take the time. Thank you for crafting that. I think it's important that, us on Fun as well take that stance as well. Before we move into the final, topic and discussing IFI's response that was posted a couple hours ago, I do just want to preface again that if you are moving away from the VEXpro ecosystem or VEXpro products and are deciding to not use the Falcon 500, please, please, please find ways to support Crossroad Electronics in other ways. Again, products that are not directly related with VEX, the power distribution board, the pneumatic hub, or the pneumatic control module, the CAN coder, and various others, please find ways to support them because they're going to need our help in this as well. But Tyler, we'll go ahead and go to you to kind of break down this outrageous response from
Yeah,
IFI.
I mean, even actually before that, real quick, I just want to mention there, just like before, there have been many posts and statements made by prior IFI employees. I believe a couple of them have been anonymous accounts, but many others have been individuals who have stepped forward, and I definitely applaud those individuals, regardless of what year they worked at IFI, by the way, to step forward and share their stories for what they've gone through. It has been, once again, very eye-opening. So we're not going to be showing any of those on screen, by the way. However, I do encourage you to, once again, go on the Chief Delphi for that, to read those stories and to hear what's been going on and been posted as well too. I was going to bring up the Glassdoor screen for it, but for some reason I keep getting a pop-up that I can't get through. But there is also many Glassdoor reviews that you can read on there that talks about the culture at IFI. And are there some good things? Yes, there are some good things that have been listed on there. Are there many things that have been absolutely deplorable by this company? Yes, there have been as well too, at least in our opinion, for this. Once again, I want to thank and applaud those who have stepped forward. To some of the response that we'll talk about in a little bit as well. These are people that have worked for the company that are stating what they feel happened to them and what they're alleging against the company as well too. And I, for one, reading these, believe these stories for things. Is there always a different side to things? Yes, potentially. But for me, this seems like these are quite corroborated stories coming together and multiple people. I don't think there's this big conspiracy of all these employees at once, as stated by IFI, or at least so what they the intention, I believe, of what their post is for things as well. So thank you to those who have come forward to speak about their experiences and what they've gone through as well. So just really want to applaud those individuals, because that takes a lot of guts to do, and it takes it just takes a lot I'm sure, out of you to even think about doing that in the first place. So writing,
100%.
you know, regardless if you were the first person who wrote a little bit or and shared their experience that kicked off many more, or the person who just posted today, posting a complete, man, I mean, you and I, all three of us were talking before, and it just took the wind out of me after reading that. Wow. And I know people who work for IFI and VEXpro, many who I've considered friends or do consider friends, who have worked there in the past, and it's just gut wrenching to hear more about these. And I want to message some of those people to just ask if they're all right, because some of those, a couple of them we have heard stories from, and some we have not. And I certainly hope they're not part of the problem. I don't think they are. To preface that as well too. So we did get a statement by Innovation First here today. We're going to read this in its entirety. And I will attempt my best to read this verbatim as well too. I'm assuming most of you who are watching live had read this, but I'm going to assume there's going to be some people who will watch this offline that have not read this as well. So this is a post from Innovation First as of 3 hours ago of this recording. By no means are we attempting to minimalize an individual's experience, but we are at a loss to understand why several employees who left our company as far back as 2016 would suddenly decide to begin posting negative comments now. We operate in an intensely competitive environment, and attacks on our social media / user forums have proven to be an effective way of, I don't know what that word says, tortuously? Yeah, there we go, interfering with someone's business. The normal responses to this type of activity, such as litigation, are ineffective because of the time and cost involved and the inability for the truth to catch up with misinformation, disinformation. Our company has an internal human resources department and written policies regarding issues such as sexual harassment, intimidation, or retaliation. Multiple women hold senior leadership roles throughout our organization, in addition to a diverse and inclusive global workforce. Since its inception in 1999, we've employed more than 850 employees and interns. During this time, our company has never been subject of a complaint or litigation regarding these issues, and has never been subject of a complaint to the EEOC regarding sexual harassment. Additionally, we have no record of internal complaints by the employees who have been posting on these forums regarding their time with the company, which ended years ago. Any company, individual, organization can become the subject of an unfair or inaccurate attack on social media or these user forums. The attackers have no real fear of retribution, and there is no third-party fact-checking concerning their posts. No organization is perfect, and we are certainly making every effort to ensure that our employees are aware of our policies and on multiple avenues to raise concerns.
I have no words. I mean, the part that gets me here is that in the first line, by no means we're attempting to minimize an individual's experience. And then we go down to the last line where it says any company, individual, organization can become the subject of an unfair or inaccurate attack on social media of these user forums. The attackers have no real fear of retribution. I mean, in my opinion, those are two completely contradicting statements. Like, it's just, my heart hurts for the folks that have spoken out on Chief Delphi, and I applaud them. And please do not take this response to heart. You are being heard. The community is hearing you, and your responses are not being minimalized from that. This is ridiculous, in my opinion, and should be ashamed to be posting this on a forum.
One thing I just want to point out, by the way, to the person that wrote this, it says that there is no third-party fact-checking, concerning their posts. We did write out to you, IFI, in regards to fact-checking these posts, and you did not provide us a response. So it is very difficult for us to try to do more of that when you have not provided us with a response to our inquiries.
I mean, the silence between us is telling, right? I mean, the fact that, you know, we're all sitting here trying to find words to describe this. You know, I was trying to give Vex the benefit of the doubt in the beginning. I was saying, you know, I respect the folks that have spoken out, but ultimately, you know, I was going to give Vex a chance to try and remedy this somehow. And they did the absolute opposite. Like, in my opinion, they were 10 foot in the hole, and now they just dug themselves a very large hole to try and climb out of. So, frankly, that's all I have to say. I'm disappointed. You know, I was expecting more out of a supplier that's so involved in our community that represents the total opposite of the issue that we're seeing here. And I'll kind of leave my statement at that.
I do want to read a statement that I received from First in regards to this as well. And something I do want to preface with is I did receive this statement prior to the Innovation First post on Chief Delphi and the VEX forums as well too. So I do sincerely want to preface that I don't know if things will change. It might not. It may. But here it is. Here's your statement, sorry. IFI was the supplier to First Robotics competition kit of parts through the 2021 season. Since then, First has declined any further support from or relationship with IFI. This policy persists for the foreseeable future. We have no plans to make VEXpro parts illegal for use in the First Robotics competition. So there are two parts I can break down from that quote on there as well. The first one being that I thought actually stood out to me a lot is that it says First has declined any further support from or relationship with IFI after the 2021 season that they had in there. So to me, that the way I would interpret that is that First has chosen to end that relationship, not on the side of IFI. I can't exactly, I don't know that for sure, but that's the way I think I would interpret that as well too. So the other part being that we have no plans to make VEXpro parts illegal for use in the First Robotics competition season. Now, keep in mind, like I said, this is written before the IFI post. I have no clue if that changes. It might not for things. But Connor and Nick, what are your reactions to that statement?
Yeah,
is that okay? I mean, is that okay? Is it not okay? Like,
I think what First had stated is the correct decision in my opinion. I don't think it's fair to make a specific robot rule necessarily that is going to, make VEXpro parts illegal. Back to our discussion of we don't know teams' financial situations. I think that kind of directly correlates with that. Yep. I'll be honest with you. I am very happy that First provided us with a statement, and I think it's important that, the fact that we were able to reach out or Fun was able to reach out and they were able to respond to that.
100%. Yeah.
Very important. Yep. And I give First a shit ton of respect for that on that point.
Yeah, I as much as I'm angry at this whole thing, First should not be making VEXpro products illegal. That is just going to absolutely screw over so many teams by doing that. And you're only going to make the situation worse, in my opinion. That's what I got on that. In this IFI VEX response thread, I did post in here, and I'll say it here on stream. Let it be known that November 15th, 2022 is a dark day, not just in FRC, but in robotics competitions.
So it's a sad day just to be an individual right now going through all this. I mean, it's all I want to go back is to those who have been impacted and affected by this and thank those once again who have chosen to speak up, and we're starting to see more and more comfortable with that. And I'm just happy that we're starting to get individuals who are comfortable in speaking up and being in that environment as well too. So thank you to those who have stepped up, and to those who are not ready yet. It is okay, but if you are ready, we're ready to listen. So thank you to everybody for that. Guys, this is what I just want to say. This is a lot that we covered. This is by far, for this show in particular, the most in depth. I think we've gone in many things, and maybe even fun in general as well. But it is amazingly serious that we do need to cover this. We like to have a lot of fun on fun, but this is something that the community needs to know about. We need to spread the word more about what is going on with this company, and let others, let other people judge for themselves. That's fine. I'm obviously in this type of show, we like to state what has happened, and then we provide our opinions based on it afterwards for this. But in my opinion, this needs to spread, and there are teams who are able to need to divest and move away from this company who has had some very, very horrible things happen, and just haunting things that have happened to them. And I'm going to only infer potentially continue to happen there as well.
Yeah, and just one final thing that I want to mention before we go ahead and wrap up the show. I know that there are still 2 IFI teams that have not, at least publicly, stated that they have severed ties with VEXpro and being leaving Team IFI. I want to make sure and preface that it's extremely important that we allow those teams to make a decision and not judge them based on that point. Please do not take this out on the students of those teams that are possibly not even involved with those direct decisions. So I just want to preface to the community, please allow them, to make their decision, and, please to not take it out on the students, because I can promise you the students are probably not making that decision. And if they are, I'm happy for them that they have that input, but please be mindful of that in the community as well. So any last thoughts before we go ahead and wrap up here, Tyler and Connor? Okay. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to FRC Roundup tonight. Special thanks to all of those who clicked that follow button or stepped up to help fund with a Twitch subscription or donation. Your support really helps us to continue to make great content. Don't forget, you can watch FRC Roundup archived at youtube.com/first updates now, and watch live Mondays after FRC recap during the competition season. We are catching up here, about 50 days. So, we'll be back there on Monday nights as well. So, thank you again to Tyler for coming on live tonight with us. I know you're usually behind the screen, but appreciate you coming on live. And on behalf of our producer, Tyler Olds, my co-host Connor, and all fun correspondents, I'm Nick Jr., and thanks for watching tonight. Good luck to all the teams that may be competing in future off seasons. They might be done by now, but I always like to preface that. Big thanks to our moderators in chat tonight as well. Thank you for
mods.
Thank you for keeping chat civil tonight as we discuss these very important topics. But we'll go ahead and see you next time, same day, same time, where we take a look at what is going on in FIRST Robotics on FRC Roundup. Thank you, everyone.
This live episode of FRC Roundup is supported by viewer donations and subscriptions, as we will not be presenting any sponsors due to the nature of the content.